Caleb has talked. Ben has talked. We're moving forward. Braggs is giving tips on how to go to a football game. We're all going to learn so much. Hoge's at Halas. This is the place to be. The CHGO Bears Podcast starts right now. Desperate for a win indeed. We are counting the wins and how to get to the playoffs. This is the CHGO Bears Podcast. Welcome in and thank you to our friends at Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365, our proud presenting sponsor today. Download the app, deposit $10, make a bet for $5, and when you use that code CHGO365, you get $150 in bonus bets. Adam Hoge is live at Halas Hall after listening to Ben and to Caleb and to Kevin Byard. Greg Bragg started crying when Kevin Byard was talking and demanding that the Bears sign Kevin Byard right now. We'll have a discussion on that in about 30 minutes. Hoge, why don't you speak first other than me today, because you look very eager to get into it today on a big Wednesday out at Halas Hall, and let's call it a gotta have it week. We'll go with gotta have it today.
Yeah, Ben Johnson saying they're desperate for a win. Remember, it's a can't lose. It's a can't lose week. I like the mentality. I get why everyone's talking about the idea of this being a trap game. I generally agree with Kevin Byard that I don't want to say there's no such thing in the NFL, but I don't think it's as big of a factor as, the lower levels of football like high school or college football. I think there is a little bit of that from a human nature perspective, and I think that is why sometimes you do see surprising results in the NFL. But I think more times than not, those surprising results are because the margins between the best team and the worst team are really not as significant as you might think. And obviously, this Browns team has a lot of good players that the Bears are preparing for. And honestly, Shedeur Sanders is kind of a wild card right now because I think a lot of people, including the Bears, defensive players and coaching staff right now are trying to figure out exactly what he is and how seriously he needs to be taken.
I think that I think trap games do exist in the NFL, but I don't think they do in December when you're trying to get in the playoffs.
Okay. I mean, I just gave my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, no, we're good. I want to lean into Shedeur a little bit here because there was just a little bit of a note in his performance against the Titans. Shedeur Sanders joined Joe Burrow as the only player to record at least 350 passing yards, at least 3 touchdown passes, and a rushing touchdown in a single game as a rookie. That kind of makes you think a halfway decent player's coming in here on Sunday. Does it not? I understand it was against the Titans, but that's a pretty that's exclusive company right there at bare minimum.
Yeah, that's not nothing. And I think, like Ben Johnson said today, he's given them a little bit of a spark. I think he's given the city a spark. I do think you have to be careful sometimes, especially when you're talking about a not good team, seeing a guy really for the first time. Those are impressive numbers, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to trust Dennis Allen and the Bears defense to make some necessary adjustments to lower those numbers a little bit more. We see this all the time with rookie quarterbacks. There always is that adjustment. You got to kind of figure it out. So I'm not trying to take anything away from what he did. Those are impressive numbers, but I think there's a big difference between Joe Burrow and Shedeur Sanders, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that he put a good game on tape before this game. Right? Like, if we're going to talk about trap games, if he had played pitiful, that might lull you to sleep a little bit. But he just put up a big game, big numbers, and obviously Kevin Byard and these guys are aware of it, breaking down the film of what they need to expect for this week. So I think that actually kind of helps the Bears in that regard.
Yep, and that's fair. That's fair. Why don't we get into what my favorite thing of today was so far, and that was Caleb Williams. I thought his press conference today was awesome. Kevin Fishbane started it out with, hey, how are you digesting that incredibly bad interception you threw there? And he didn't quite say it like that, but he put it in as nice a way as possible. And Caleb kind of paused, and then he gave this response as to how it's resonating with him. He kind of seemed a little bit bothered by the question, and then I thought, gave a great answer on how he's handling it.
There's not another moment, another player, another situation, in those moments, I feel like the ball should be in my hand, and that's how I felt as a kid. That's how I still feel today. That's how I felt on Sunday in that moment. And so, feel great. It kind of goes to the MJ quote where he missed how many game winners, and the Kobe where he took the game winner, and tried to, versus the Jazz and all of them back then. It's like, you're going to take those shots, and that's the type of mindset I have, that I'll take those shots, and I'll roll with the punches if I do miss, and that's what happened. And so you move on from it, and when that moment comes up again, I think 9 times out of 10 that I'll hit. And so that's my mentality. That's how I feel about it, and just got to give Cole a better ball in that moment. But other than that, roll with the punches if it doesn't roll your way.
So just because it's such a easy runway here, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. All true.
Yeah.
MJ said that. Probably sounded a little bit more dynamic than what I just put it out there. But I love when he dials up MJ. And by the way, shout out Caleb in that my long-lost Bears friend Tyler Scott, who I wish was still on the roster, but is not. I would hang at Tyler Scott's locker last year, and we would debate Jordan versus LeBron, like at least for 5 minutes at bare minimum on every Friday that I went to. So I miss that greatly. Bring back Tyler Scott. But Caleb, when we would go around the locker room, like, are you a LeBron guy or an MJ guy? And Caleb was an MJ guy, and now he's talking about MJ. Threw a little bit of Kobe in there. And more important than any of that, for the record, of course, is his mentality, which you have to have in a supreme amount of confidence in yourself to be a quarterback in the NFL. And I think you maybe need a touch more of that confidence to be the quarterback of a franchise that is historically pathetic at quarterback. There's a lot that comes at you. The microscope is enormous on you. The lights are bright, and it's a great thing that he has this where, like, even in the moment he was smiling about it, and he's moving forward, man. He does not seem dented at all, not phased. I liked it a lot, Hoge.
Guys, Jason McKee has a story of and I'll let him use the name if he wants to at some point, if he wants to come on the show and tell it, of a Bears quarterback that once like came in the huddle almost in tears, just completely scared out of his mind about what was happening. And I think, like, if there's one thing we've learned about Caleb Williams, he is the complete opposite of that. But the point of me bringing that up is there are plenty of quarterbacks, some that have been here, who just did not have that type of confidence, which is really what it is. And I'll take a guy who wants the ball in his hands when the game's on the line, whether we're talking basketball, whether we're talking football, whether we're talking Connor Bedard in overtime right now in hockey, right? Like these are the superstars. These are the guys that you want to have the ball. And I love Caleb bringing that up today because you're not going to win every single time in those situations. You're just not. So could he have delivered a better pass on that last play? Of course he could have. I also, going back to the film, was I found it remarkable how easy the completions to Luther Burden to start that drive for 20-something yards, and then later on the run to Duvernay, just how easy he makes that look. In fact, with the conversation about, how he can get off to faster starts, like, to me, that's like, how do you get that feeling at the beginning of the game? Like, that's what I want to know, because once he's warmed up and he's kind of in that gotta have it mentality, he can be lethal. And right now, what they need him to do is to kind of summon that somehow at the start of the game so that they can get off to better starts.
Yeah, well, he talked about that where he said, he likened it to, seeing one go in the basket, like a basketball player sometimes when they're in a rut, getting to the free throw line might get him going a little bit just to see one go in. And so for him, he's got to, I guess him and Ben trying to find what those layups are. And as you've pointed out before, layups aren't always just a check down, and I think in the early portion of that game, a couple of those throws were layups. And he just missed them. So it's not about them dialing up layups. I think it's more about him calming himself and seeing, as excited as he is for the game and the execution and the, scripted first 15, 20 that they have. All right, this play's right in front of you. Just calm yourself and make a easy throw instead of, being so dialed up that it sails on you.
It's interesting too, though, because at the start of the year, the scripted plays were nails, and they were moving. And then it was like, oh, well, once that's over, now he can't do anything. So it's kind of a flip, I guess, to where we're at right now. He called it, quote, sharpening, starting faster.
I remember I'd kind of liken it to last year's Washington game. Like in these big primetime games, I've seen him a few times just way too amped up for the moment. He understands where he is in that. Like some people, it doesn't matter what stage I'm on. I think he is fully cognizant, like coming up in a couple weeks on Saturday Night Football, primetime stage against the Packers, playoffs on the line. He's got to do whatever he can to try to not think about those things and treat it like any other game. But just based off of what I've seen over him for the first 2 years, I don't think he does that. I actually think he gets really dialed up for these moments.
Let's move on to just another factor that could rattle you, which is, yes, grew up in D.C., so they have some level of cold there, but also played his college games in Oklahoma, pretty warm, USC, greatest weather of all time, and now you're stuck in the cold. And he was asked about, like, how do you handle the cold? And this was kind of like a Jordan-level response, too.
Yeah, I've played in some cold games already here, and I've played in cold games before. I believe that, weather and elements don't bother me. And so, just being able to get warm, get my body warm, and then go out there and, deliver good balls to my guys and let them go make plays.
You could ask Jordan, like, hey, Mike, you guys were you played 4 out of 5 nights, and you guys were up by 30. Was it good to get off the court in the fourth quarter, get a little rest? No, I didn't need rest. Just would push back on anything that would show any level of weakness. And that, to me, was like the same thing he's doing with the cold. Cold doesn't bother me. It doesn't. It's brutal out there. Cold doesn't bother me. I like the mentality. I know it's not necessarily a huge thing, but I liked how he answered that question.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it if we're being realistic, it is a factor for everybody. But we were talking about this on Hogan Johns. I think it's something that you can kind of train yourself to flip into an advantage, and I think that, but it's something that everybody has to adapt to. Jared Goff has done this in Detroit, where when he was playing for the Rams. And, he grew up in California, and he just did not have a ton of experience in the cold. And he moves to Detroit, and even though they play their games indoors, they can practice outside. And it's something that he's kind of flipped in his career. And now it doesn't seem to be something that really bothers him when they go on the road to Green Bay or go on the road to Chicago. So, I think it's just something that comes with the territory of being the Bears quarterback. And it would certainly be concerning if he said it was something that bothered him, because it can't. The reality is it just can't. You're the Bears quarterback, and this is where you play, and you have to flip it into an advantage.
He wouldn't say that, but he could have said, like, hey, nobody likes playing in this, but, you just got to make the best of it and go out there. He could have said that. I mean, his was a little bit of a harder pushback. It's kind of like the way you push back at the tailgate, buddy. You get out there 5 a.m. We got 3 of the next 4. You're going to be doing it, and you don't even say a word. You're just like, I'm not bothered. Are you kidding? I'm made for this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you brace for it. I can't really recall. I mean, I know that Seahawks game last year was pretty brutal. It was like cold and rainy.
They scored 3 points.
They scored 3 points, but I'm more
that game,
talking
wasn't
about.
That in the 50s? I remember going to that tailgate before the game, and it was like warm.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I agree. Because just based off of the tailgates we had last year, we didn't really bring out the heaters, which we're bringing out here on Sunday. So based off of that, I don't think he has experienced a game like this in -20. That being said, I don't think anybody on either side of the field really has experienced this level of cold. Certainly Shedeur Sanders as well. So this is, I mean, everybody's going to be playing on the same field, but it is going to be brutal. And for the players, there's really no hiding from it. I mean, you just got to embrace it.
Yeah, I'd like to personally, actually, before we move on and get into Ben Johnson here, I'd like to give a shout-out to the 7 people that did show up to our Seahawks tailgate last year. Those were the real diehards.
Yeah.
That season was dead and gone, and half the
We actually had a pretty good crowd for that, but yeah, it wasn't what we're expecting here for the next few home tailgates. I see Nancy in the chat saying she'll be at the tailgate for the Packers game on the 20th. That is going to be a huge one. So we have some plans in place for some heated tents potentially, so stay tuned for updates on that, but we're doing everything we can to make sure everybody has a good time.
There will be no updates. We're going to have heated tents. You're going to get that done because that's what you do. It's a reminder, good old Shedeur, grew up in Texas and whatnot. He doesn't want to do this, even though, he's getting a lot of experience in Cleveland. All right, let's get to Ben Johnson. And Ben had a lot of interesting things to say about how important this game is and a bunch more. But first, hey, shout out to our friends at Bet365. Let's go, Gregory. Let's make some money. Let's do a $10 safety net bet. Let's do a $365,000 jackpot. Let's just bet on the Bears to wallop the Browns and do it on Bet365. Why would you do that? Well, you would do that because there's breaking news from Bet365. New customers, that's you. You get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. So you sign up, you use the code CHGO365, you deposit $10, you place a bet for $5, you get $150 in bonus bets. Doesn't matter if your bet wins, loses, ties, whatever, you're in. Spreads, totals, player props, futures, or more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. I've been loving playing games, making money on Bet365. You do have to be 21 or older if you are someone you know has a gambling problem. Crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
That's right, and if you've been watching our pregame shows, you've been making some money with us and Bet365, so make sure you continue to do that. Shout out Sean Anderson putting together some of those parlays for you. So also got to give a shout out to our good friend over at Ray Auto, Ray Scarpelli, our guy. And new vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal for the winter. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. And right now, get 0% financing for 60 months on all new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L models, or up to $10,000 off MSRP, plus shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Go check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since
1963. The Bears won the title. Can you say Super Bowl? Hit the like button for the Super Bowl or wherever they go this year, because it's all gravy from here, buddy. Mm-hmm. It's all gravy. Hoge's at Halas Hall. Thank you for tuning in to this 9-4 on their way to 10-4 on their way to. We're gonna have a great conversation about if the Bears have the right mindset on making the playoffs and how many wins they need coming up here, which I'm greatly looking forward to. But Hoge, we won't make you do that. Thank you. Let's hear from Ben Johnson and how the Bears, as we did the headline today, desperate for a win. Here was Ben.
We have goals, and we know what's out in front of us, and so it's just that awareness that every game matters. Every game matters, and that's where this week, you go from an emotional rivalry game like we just played. This week is equally important. We need this win. We desperately need this win.
No mincing words right there.
Yeah, I like how he dresses it. One thing we've learned is it's not like he's ignoring the playoff talk at all with the team. He's brought up 11 wins himself. That was actually the context of that question. Was just like when you're talking playoffs, like how are you handling small picture versus big picture? And it's just trying to keep that same mentality that every game matters. And when in reality the Packer game matters more because it's a divisional game and it's also the Packers. So there's more of an emotional component to it, but he noted that emotional component too, calling it an emotional rivalry game. So this is part of being a head coach. You got to motivate your guys and get them up and realize that even though a game against the Browns does not really have the same weight as a game against the Green Bay Packers within your own division, right now it has to. So you got to get that message across because I don't know that they're desperate for a win, but this is a game that they certainly cannot lose, and they need to come out. And it was also, by the way, be nice just to have a good 60-minute performance against a team that you should be able to handle.
Yeah, certainly with the injuries they have, I am a little surprised that they have somewhat started to put an earmark on 11 wins as the goal. I understand that that's a really good goal to have and totally makes sense and probably a very likely scenario if they get 11 wins they're in. That being said, I am surprised that they are outwardly saying it. You have 4 games left to go.
To be fair, I don't know that he has specifically said our goal is to win 11 games. Like I don't think that they've put that up on a chalkboard in front of the team.
We have started to hear it from like Byard said it. Ben did say 11. At one point in one of his answers, I think Cole Kmet also said 11 in the locker room from the clip we played in the post-game show. So I get it. I mean, that's how my mind's working as a fan. Like, how many wins do we need to get in? But like, they have 4 games left. To me, the goal, like, I'm sure their goal is 13. But like personally, just say the number 13. They can win 13 games this year. As crazy as that would be, they can win these last 4.
See, I think that I get why fans, their mind goes to that. To me, it's win the North. You're a half game behind the Packers. That's how you guarantee yourself a spot in the tournament. You win your division. You get a home game in the playoffs if you do that. It's one of the many reasons why I don't think that the NFL should change those rules to kind of reseed things based on records alone, because I think there should be a reward for winning your division no matter how good or bad it is. But regardless, for the Bears, they're right here against the Packers. They get the Packers again on Saturday, the following Saturday, and then they get the Lions at home too. So, like, in terms of goals, actual goals, they probably do put somewhere on a board in front of the team. Winning the NFC North is on there. That's the first thing Ryan Poles said when he got here: win the North and never give it back. So we could talk 11 wins, we could talk 12 wins. The one way they know how to get in is if they win the North. And now, to do that, the most important thing is to beat Green Bay and to beat Detroit, but you also need to win this game against Cleveland. And so that's where he can kind of, have it both ways, where our goal is to win the North, but we desperately need this win this week to be able to keep pace with Green Bay, because in order to have that opportunity to leapfrog them next week, you have to be within that range. And so you got to assume they're going to go into Denver and win that game, even though it's tough. Because if you lose to the Browns and then they beat the Broncos, you can't leapfrog them at Soldier Field next Saturday. And so that's why the way I look at it is this is about winning the North, but in order to do that, you got to get past the Browns this week first.
Absolutely. I would say this much too with the weather. It would be such bad luck if that last game of the season ended up being warm for whatever. It better be -20 for that game too. If we got to bear the elements now, I want that Lions game to be -20 as well.
no.
Because they haven't played an outdoor game in a month.
I'd love to come out to the tailgate in -20 for the final game of the year. That would be awesome. I want to go back to, by the way, hit the like button for Hoge's level-headed playoff philosophy right now. Just getting a good level head. And you too, Gregory. But just, Hoge on the road. Hit the like button for the Hoger here. And I would like to mention that, just a reminder, and we can do this more in depth on another day, but the Detroit Lions schedule right now is they are at the Rams, home with Pittsburgh, at Minnesota, and then at the Bears. So it is possible that the Lions win out with 3 of their 4 games on the road and a short week on Christmas and playing 2 division rivals and playing the Rams. It's possible. The odds on that are not strong. So that's the only way that they could get to 12 wins. Now they could be at 11, and if they beat the Bears on the final week and the Bears are already at 11 and somehow they're tied, I suppose it's possible. But it's very unlikely. I don't know what, 1%, 2%, 5%, that if you win 11 games that you're not going to get in. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think it's a very layered discussion that would probably take me 20 minutes to explain.
Well, and so I'd also like
Go
to...
ahead, Hoge. What were you going to say?
No, I want to comment kind of on what both of you guys just said back to back, because it is interesting. The thing that just stood out to me about what you just said, Carman, about their schedule at LA, home against Pittsburgh, at Minnesota. Those are all, 2 of those games are indoors. The Rams game is basically indoors because they have a roof and it's warm there. And they haven't played a road game outside since Philadelphia on November 16th. So, kind of to that point, the advantage isn't quite the same because they're in Detroit. They can practice outside if they need to. A perfect scenario that you would be like, oh, there's a warm spell and it's in the 50s all week leading up to that game. And then all of a sudden it's 10 degrees in Chicago. For the game. But that is interesting looking at the schedule and the fact that they really have not played. They're going to go a long time. What was that week? So week 11, and I don't really remember what the elements were in that Eagles game, all the way to January 4th without really playing a game outside. That part's super interesting to me when it comes to, and it also related, I don't know if we want to jump ahead here, but I did ask Kevin Byard about home field advantage and kind of how important that's going to be in these final 4 weeks, because the Bears get 3 home games. They've been on the road 5 of the last 7 weeks. Like it does not feel like the Bears have been at home, and it's because they really haven't been that much.
Right.
Sunday, November 9th in Philly, it was windy and cold with temperatures in the low 40s, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Hit the like button for Carm's weather research. That's not as near to what they will be experiencing in theory come January. Let's get to.
Yeah, I was going to say you're right. The Packers and Lions both have 3 of their last 4 games on the road, where the Bears have 3 of their 4 games at home here to finish, and that's an advantage that the Bears got to take advantage of. And I keep saying how big this Sunday is for the Bears playing the Browns, the Rams playing the Lions, and the Packers playing the Broncos. But yeah, let's hear Kevin Byard talking about home field advantage and why that's so important for Chicago.
Yeah, we have to. We have to use that. I think we've been really good at home, obviously outside of the first loss that we had against Minnesota. So we got to be able to take advantage of any advantage that we can get. And obviously having our crowd in our home stadium, who's been electric this year, using to our advantage, especially on defense. Obviously the offense having to communicate a little bit more and just kind of using that momentum as far as the crowd, just to go out there and just play well. So we're excited to be home for like 3 out of the last 4 games or something like that. So, like I said, just trying to stack wins at home. And, when you talk about going to the playoffs, you have to be able to win at home. We stole some on the road, which is good, so that we just kind of got to finish it out, at home in our stadium.
I always enjoy when the team incorporates the fans and basically asking for help, and that works. The feeling that we're all in this together, players, fans, whatnot. There's a warm fuzziness to that. But, he certainly sounds grounded and ready for this week. Would you agree with that, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, and Hoge, we need your help here. But 3 hours ago on my cesspool timeline, Greg Braggs tweeted, "I am so unbelievably stressed out about Sunday." And then right after that, he tweeted, A, no game in the NFL is a gimme, especially in inclement weather. And then B, we need more than just a Bears win this Sunday. That was in response to a guy by the name of Pete Martuniak. I just want you, Hoge, to let Greg know, and perhaps Bears fans know, that the Bears are not paying attention to how important this game is. There's no, like, there's like have you felt even an ounce of energy coming out of there that they are just wallowing in losing to the Packers and not moving forward into this week?
No, not at all. No, I don't. And I think that goes back to what Greg said earlier in the show, that if there is such thing as a trap game, like it really shouldn't exist right now with this much on the line. And also, like, the Bears are not the, the Bears haven't really earned anything here. They're like still like lucky to be here. Not lucky, but fortunate to be here so quickly. So, I mean, it's one thing if they're like the Eagles coming off a Super Bowl and they're like, oh, we're going to overlook the Browns because we know we're, you guys know what I'm getting at here. So they can't afford to have any slip ups. I haven't sensed it at all. I am a little confused though, because unless I'm like hallucinating, I swear Greg said something on the post game show the other day about how like he wasn't going to be nervous about this game. He's not nervous about the Packers game next week. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So
no,
yeah,
I'm excited to play them. I'm excited to play them as long as they're beating the Browns, and I assume they will beat the Browns. I am picking the Bears to beat the Browns. I'll be the first to submit my prediction for this week. I don't expect the Bears at all to overlook the Browns for all the reasons we brought up. Shedeur playing well last week, this being such huge playoff implications, this coaching staff being at home. I don't expect that at all. But that being said, that all those things can be true, and it wouldn't surprise any of us, in my opinion, but just speaking for myself, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this is a ball game in the second half. This is a ball game heading into the fourth quarter. That's the NFL. The Browns beat the Packers earlier this year, so this is just how these things go. So, but my stress levels for Sunday aren't just for the Bears. I just think people underestimate just how much the Rams need to beat the Lions, or else think the trickle-down effect of how things are going to go the rest of the year are certainly going to play out. I mean, obviously we're rooting hard for the Broncos to beat the Packers, which is just as important. I would put the Lions priority over that, but I just don't expect the Broncos to beat the Lions, so I'm not really getting my hopes up there.
King Book of World maybe made the best point of the show here, saying that this would be more of a trap game if the Bears had won last week.
Right.
If they had beaten the Packers, then you would think natural human tendency would be like, all right, whew. And then maybe your focus would diminish. Ho, you had one more point before you get out of here?
Yeah, well, I want to play one last clip. It was Ben Johnson talking about the poise that this team has developed and how sound that they've been schematically and fundamentally, because I think it has to do with this, and I'll make my point on that after we play it. But yeah, if we can hear what Ben Johnson had to say on that topic, it's one of the many reasons why I have confidence that they're not going to overlook an opponent like the Browns.
Well, yeah, I think we just want to establish how we go about our business in the building, our mindset, and I think we've done that. I think as a coaching staff, we've done a really good job of establishing who we want to be and what we want to be about, what the important things are, our identity. In a lot of ways, we have it up in the team room that we want to be a physical unit, we want to be a sound unit, and we want to be a poised unit. And I think this time of year, I see those three elements show up on tape. I really do, and that's something that you can be proud about, because you put words up in a room. That's great, but it doesn't bring it to life. You need the people to bring it to life, and so I think we've been able to achieve that here. In December football, I think I see it every single week. We play physical. I think we're sound schematically. I think we're sound fundamentally for the most part. And then, I know we're poised. I know we show up when the pressure's on. So I'm encouraged by that as a starting point.
Hit the like button for what Ben has been able to develop here in year one. Hoge, what'd you like about that the most?
Well, first of all, I just want you to kind of digest what he just said versus what we watched in August and how ugly training camp was at times in terms of those, the fundamentals, the execution, being sound fundamentally, and all those things. Like it, and like they have come a long way in that regard to establish I mean, what he's talking about there is establishing a foundation and establishing an identity of what this program is going to be, regardless of what the record is, in future years, right now or in future years, because it's not always going to go great. But, I think that when you have established that, you can go into a game against a team, in my opinion, in the Cleveland Browns, who have not established that, and feel good about yourself, that you're not going to overlook them, that you're going to be able to impose your will, you're going to be able to be physical, and you're just going to out-execute them eventually with your toughness and physicality by the end of the game. And I think that right now, regardless of what we feel about the defense and the lack of pass rush and sometimes the quarterback play being consistent, the passing game, I feel that if they want to just run the ball and get to the finish line, I feel like this offensive line can do that. And they proved that last week against the Packers, even in a loss, that they could flip that script, that they could put behind probably one of the worst halves that they'd had in some time from the offensive line standpoint, both in pass protection and not being able to establish that run. And by the end of the game, they had fixed some things from a pass pro standpoint, and they had imposed their will to the point that you saw Micah Parsons on the sideline, like gassed by the end of that game. So I feel confident that this is who the Bears are, and they're going to be able to continue to do this. Regardless of the outcome, we're going to be able to see that consistently from this team. And one other point quickly, because I get why people bring, the Browns beat the Packers earlier this year. Completely fair point. But I think the difference is the Packers hadn't established that, what we're talking about here with this team yet at that point in the season. And to their credit, they've also done what the Bears have done later, and they now have their identity, and one of the reasons why we have to take them very seriously as a Super Bowl contender. But if the Browns are going to Lambeau this week, like I would be shocked if they were able to pull it out based on what the Packers have established. And the same thing, the Bears didn't have this when they went to Baltimore earlier in the season, or when they even went to Detroit, certainly earlier in the season, and they got boat raced. So you feel differently about this team now compared to earlier in the year. And it's just one of those reasons why I cannot envision a scenario where even in a weird scenario where they somehow lose Sunday, I'll be shocked if we're sitting there going, man, they just totally took this Browns team lightly and they didn't show up. That would be shocking to me.
You good? You feel better?
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And hearing Ben talk about how quickly they install the game plan now and then add things to it. They weren't able to do that at the beginning of the year. They were trying to figure out who they were as a team. Now they know who they are as a team, flaws and all, and now they're able to kind of get into a game plan quicker, and that's why the execution feels like it's been at a higher point here lately.
And let's all celebrate that it is. Hit the like button for Hoge out at Halas today as we cross into our 100 like. You better get there on Wednesdays for Hoge Barrier. We can't let him go until he gets 100 likes. And you did it again there, Hoger. You made it to triple digits. Congratulations. Any Hoagies on the way out here that we haven't covered? I think we're there, but maybe we're not.
Any Hoagies? Well, I'm actively working on my power rankings for this week. I am moving the Packers up into the Super Bowl tier, unfortunately. Broncos fans are mad at me because I won't put them in that territory. But hey, look, I look at it like this. Broncos, you get your shot this week against the Packers. Then you'll be up there as a Super Bowl contender. Same thing for the Bears on December 20th. So we'll see if some of these teams can kind of jump themselves up. And the Bears had that opportunity last week too, and I'll say it again, they were right there. All the flaws in that game, they were still right there with the opportunity to beat Green Bay.
I think we kind of just buried the league, and maybe you've already said this, but Hoge just said if the Bears beat the Browns and the Packers in back-to-back weeks at home, then Adam Hoge will consider the Bears a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Did I just hear that? Because I think I just heard that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, they would jump up into my top tier, the Super Bowl contender tier, which right now, I'll give a little tease because these will be coming out later. Right now, 5 teams in that tier. We've got the Rams. I'm moving the Seahawks ahead of the Bills. So Seahawks are 2, Bills 3, Packers 4, New England Patriots 5, And DNVR and the Broncos fans can shoot their arrows now because I still got them 6th in the next tier down, which is more to prove. And I'm going to keep the Bears at 7. They fall one spot because they got leapfrogged by the Packers, and they're one spot ahead of the Detroit Lions right now.
Okay. I think we're in a very grounded Hoge land right now. Great job. We got some more from you that we'll get to in a second with Ben and Byard, and actually one more Caleb thing that I actually want to get into as well. Hoger, we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
I'm thinking about doing X's and Hogs live tomorrow.
Are you serious? Live X's and Hogs?
I don't know if we. I don't know
that
if we
means I gotta watch it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It could be fun. I might still. I might still need my bride, my excellent camera person to
hit the like button if you want to see X's and Hogs live tomorrow, where anything could possibly happen. It could get completely wild.
It could. Like I don't know. Just a tease. We'll see.
A marker could fall. You might circle the wrong guy.
We might hit an ad break.
All right, we got to go. My bad. See you later, Hogue.
Bye.
See you later. All right. I want to get something Caleb said that I thought was super interesting. But first,
want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Brunt Workwear. Hey, this is the time of year you want to hit up Brunt Workwear. Whether you're working on job sites, it's been brutal this year so far. We've already gotten as much snow this year, and it's not even January, as we did all of last winter. And there's no end in sight. So you want to make sure you hit up Brunt Workwear, because most importantly for me, whether it's on a job site or you're out there shoveling snow or if you're at our tailgates, you want to have waterproof boots, because as soon as your feet get wet, you are cooked, Mark.
It's over, baby.
It's over. Honestly, you might as well go home, because once that happens, there's no escaping it. So with temps dropping and holiday season here, it's time to treat yourself and the hardworking people in your life with real comfort and something built to last. That's Brunt Workwear, and our listeners get $10 off their entire order with code CHGO at checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com, and use the code CHGO. Order today and let them know we sent you.
And a shout out to our friends at Aura Frames. These frames are sweet. It's fun to get your pictures rolling in a very easy way. Listen, this is what you do. You think about all the loved ones in your life. You think about how would you like to see them on a rotating picture frame. And then you take all those free photos and you upload as many as you want. Videos too. It's unlimited. And then, by the way, you can do this if you're going to give it as a gift, like I was going to do to you, Gregory, just pictures of me. I could preload all the photos, and then I can send it to you, and bang, amazing holiday gift.
That sounds like the greatest gift I could ever receive.
And or, if you're sending it to a grandparent, a parent, a cousin, whatnot, just a fun thing. For a limited time, you can save on the perfect gift for the holidays by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. Use the promo code CHGO at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CHGO. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. That'd be sweet. Terms and conditions apply. We got some breaking news here, courtesy of Adam Schefter via Gary Ross, who just sent me this. 2-minute warning. The NFL notified teams today that it will shorten the time between picks in the first round of the draft. This is a tweet from Schefter, from 10 to 8 minutes, starting with the 2026 draft in Pittsburgh.
Incredible.
Thank you. And by the way, you can go down to like 5. We really don't need an 8-hour show for the first round of the draft.
We also didn't need to hear that here in this very shortened segment where we need to hear from Caleb Williams, did we?
That's fine, Gregory. You're absolutely right. I shouldn't have done that. Let's get to this. This was Caleb on, that he was asked a very direct question. What do you think what would you like to do better in the final 4 games of the year? And this was his answer.
Yeah, starting faster for myself, and then the other one would be, some of these, I'm doing the right things, and then at the last bit of it, it's something's off. And and it's either a miss or incompletion or, you know, something just not on the same page, or, you know, so that's the area that I really want to get, you know, on the same page with the guys. And then, you know, from my side of it is you know, doing everything right and then you miss. And so it's just sharp focus, and sharpening my focus even more, and just making sure, starting fast and having that sharp focus from the beginning.
So the key words there are sharp focus. He said it about 17 times.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was pretty close to kind of I almost thought he was going to say, like, accuracy. And then he pulled back a little bit. Like, he said, you know, I'm doing everything right. And then at the last second, something doesn't go right. We're not on the same page. And I thought for a minute he was going to talk a little bit about, you know, the other things that don't go right at the last second. Because as we've been pointing out with Hoge's quarterback grades and the decision making versus, you know, whether it's an accurate ball or whatever, like, I think he's acknowledging there, I'm making the right decisions, and then there's something that's the reason why it's not being executed properly, which isn't just him and the wide receivers not being on the same page. It's also him, you know, airmailing a ball or accuracy or his footwork. And so, you know, it sounds like obviously they're looking at these things and he fully acknowledges, like, hey, I'm on the right track. If I could just get these things cleaned up, we'll be there.
Right, and he also added in, we don't have the clip for you right now, but he added in along the lines of, look, you know, Ben's offense is super intricate. It's going to take more than a year for me to be on his exact level.
Yeah, Ben said, we want 1 million reps. We're at 10,000 reps, and he needs 100,000 more.
Right, and Caleb has – obviously Ben has said that to him, and Caleb has digested it. And so they – like, look, man, there's a ton on your plate. We're trying to get there as fast as possible, but we don't have a solution for time. You're going to need more time to really hit with your immense talent and what I'm giving you. It will come, but it's not going to be tomorrow, so just hang in there. And I just think the attitude is super positive. So a lot to be excited about. Also, not necessarily excited about, but maybe concerned about would be the some of the free agents that in Braggs' nervousness today at some points, you got to thinking about the secondary. So we have a little deep dive on that coming for you. And apologize for the back-to-back breaks here, but we went long with Hoge, so we'll do that in 2 minutes. But first, shout out to our friends at Monarch Money. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Do yourself a favor. Go to monarch.com. And by the way, put the code CHGO in your browser. You get half off, 50% off your first year at monarch.com. Now, why do you want to do that? Because Monarch is going to organize your finances in a way that has never been organized before. You will be able to see, oh, I'm spending X amount here, Y there, Z there. That's not good. Let's actually do it like this so I can have this much more in my wallet. And then all of a sudden, you can buy your daughter the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, and you're rolling. Shout out to Trading Places in 1983 for anybody who got that. Once again, don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code CHGO at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year, 50% off at monarch.com with the code CHGO. Phenomenal New Year's pre-resolution. Get your money in order.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And once you got your money in order, you can hit up our good friends over at Game Time and use the Game Time app to hit up this Bears game here on Sunday. Not just this Bear. There's 3 or 4 home games here to end the year, and you want to make sure you're hitting up Game Time. It's freezing out. We always tell you with Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, this Sunday, that's certainly going to work in your favor because over the last 48 hours, prices to this game on Sunday are plummeting, just like the temperatures are in this city. Nobody wants to hit up this negative 20-degree wind chill game, but I know you do because you're a diehard, and that's why you watch this show.
$110 is the cheapest seat right now.
And that's right now. By the time kickoff hits, it's going to be $50. So download the Game Time app. Incredibly easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% off authentic tickets on time and at the best price. And plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
All right, Greg, you get to lead us into this because you, following your Twitter today, you listened to Kevin Byard talk, and you started to get borderline emotional that the Bears might lose Kevin Byard. And then you started to have a thought about the secondary and all the free agents that were there. So why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, I mean, the Bears have a lot of big decisions here coming up on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, I think priority one in the offseason will be the pass rush, but I wouldn't overlook the decisions that they have to make from a secondary standpoint. And it's getting kind of tricky now when you consider these injuries that they've sustained and how things are going to play out. And, you know, it's it's an offseason issue for sure, but I think that I wouldn't be opposed to if I heard news drop tomorrow that Ryan Poles has extended a certain person right here in December before we even get to the offseason. And I think there's one person on this team in particular that deserves that, and that's Kevin Byard. And Kevin Byard has been the consummate pro for this team, a leader. He's been at the top of the league in interceptions, not just this year, but since he's come into the league. And who are your options, you know, if you've got all these defensive line issues that you have to address in the offseason and how you're going to look at the safety position, whether it's through free agency or in the draft? Personally, I want to keep the continuity that we have going on here in Chicago. So we made a list of pending free agents and if for the Bears secondary and my priority list of, and Carm will give his list as well, of where I think the priorities kind of need to lie. And so for me, Kevin Byard is priority one. I understand his age, but I want to keep this continuity on the backside of this defense. And I think he's been somebody that you can depend on. And I think it's a fairly easy decision, in my opinion, to bring him back. I put CJ Gardner-Johnson at 2 ahead of the other 2 free agents because now we're in a position where unfortunately, a lot like Jaquan Brisker at times, and I feel for these guys, they're not trying to get hurt, but how much can you depend on a guy when he has shown year after year that he can't play the full schedule? You know, Brisker's started to do that here this year, and hey, that's great. You know, he's got to finish the season out, but Kyler is kind of running into that same question mark of can you depend on him to play for a full season? And the fact that they were able to bring in CJ Gardner-Johnson was godsend for this team. They started out 5-0 as soon as he came to this team, and he made an immediate impact. So to me, I think he is somebody that they should prioritize in bringing back in free agency this offseason. And then you get to Nahshon Wright, who's been an amazing story for this team. I think, unfortunately, he will get priced out of, you know, what would be a reasonable cost to bring somebody back in the position that he is. You still have Tyrique Stevenson, who will be, I believe, on his final year of his deal. And I would almost consider extending Tyrique Stevenson on a team-friendly deal, if you could get that, versus having to back up the truck for Nahshon Wright based off the small sample size of this outstanding year that Nahshon has had. And then Jaquan Brisker is kind of last on my list. Not saying he's expendable, but I think he is, you know, I think you could upgrade at that position. So just in terms of where they've got to, you know, divulge their money, I just think that that's kind of how my list kind of goes.
Right. Perhaps there's no wrong answer to how you're going to order these guys, but I do think you're wrong, extremely wrong about putting C.J. Gardner-Johnson above Nahshon Wright, who Nahshon Wright has been a godsend for this team. They would not. Nahshon Wright is the youngest. He's 27. Byard's 32. What do your corners look like? I don't know what you have in Jalen Johnson. The guy had core muscle surgery. Is Jalen going to be okay going into next year? He doesn't look like himself right now. Tyrique has been in and out of the lineup, and I love Tyrique, but Tyrique has been up and down. And then you got Kyler. I have no idea if he's going to have a great offseason and find out how to get healthy. So to me, Nahshon Wright, who A, is a phenomenal guy in that locker room, B, has been fantastic on the field, C, seems like Al Harris has unlocked something in a potential Pro Bowl player here in Nahshon Wright, the way he's been playing this year. So I don't know where the pricing will go. Obviously, there is a point where you can't keep him. But to me, that's the guy that you really have got to look hard and strong at it. Like, how do we make him a part of this going forward? Byard's a huge piece too, though. I'm not gonna diminish what's going on there. You'd have a leadership void and you'd have a safety void. You might have, because I don't think you're bringing Jaquan Brisker back, but I certainly put him ahead of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Jaquan Brisker is the heartbeat of that team defensively with his energy. So if I can get Jaquan on a relatively team-friendly deal and just, take the risk that he'll be able to stay on the field with the concussion issues that he's had, I'd do that if I were the Bears, if I can do some level of a 2-year deal that's reasonable. But if somebody wants to come in and pay Brisker a ton of dough, well, then I think you got to move on from him because it's just too high of a risk. And then CJ, who's had a great impact, I've enjoyed him, but I think he's a clear number 4 on this list as far as who's important coming back. I hear you, and I'm not taking anything away from all the things that you mentioned of what makes Nahshon Wright great, but I think those are the reasons that are going to be hard to bring him back because other teams are also going to see this, and now you have to put a price tag on it, and you've already paid Jalen Johnson. You say you don't know what you have in Jalen. I know.
That's beside the point. They've paid him. He's going to be your cornerback next year. They've already paid Kyler Gordon. Whether he can stay healthy or not, we hope, but he's going to be on your roster next year. And Tyreek Stevenson's in the final year of his deal. Whether they decide to do something with that contract or not, he's also going to be on your roster. So
are you okay? So you're saying that you'd way rather pay Tyreek than pay Nahshon Wright?
For what the money, my anticipation
you
of
think
what
Nahshon Wright's going to get paid way more than Tyreek
at this point, yes, because of the year he's having.
I mean, I don't know.
You were the one that said he's
Tyreek
second in Pro Bowl votes. I mean, no, Pro Bowl doesn't
cares
mean anything.
about that. That's fan voting, and that doesn't
who
matter
cares
at all.
about it? Then why'd you say it to me earlier?
I didn't.
I think that was me.
Oh, you said it?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, somebody said it to me.
I didn't say it to you.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying he's being acknowledged as one of the top stories in the league. And if you look at the Cowboys,
I mean, you could be right. I'm not saying you could be right, but Tyreek is.
There's a danger in paying a corner like Nahshon Wright, who's having an unbelievable season, but it's an outlier to what he's shown in the league. And if you were able to get him for a reasonable deal, then I'd be all in. But if you're saying you're going to pay him like he's one of the top corners in the league based off of 1 year. Like that.
Dude, he had 3 starts in his first 4 years. He didn't get to play.
I understand. That's why this is an outlier to what we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, but there's a lot of players that didn't get on the field because there's been people in front of them, and when they get their opportunity, they shine and they roll. That is Al Harris's career. He did not play early on, and then he became a dynamo for the Packers. What are you?
I'm just saying that
I don't see a player.
You're not going to put me in a corner where I'm now going to denigrate what Nahshon Wright's doing. All I'm saying is there's a risk to investing heavily that's what he's going to do going forward.
Right, but
especially when you consider how much they've invested already at the cornerback position. Whereas a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you're not going to have a higher capital investment, and he's somebody that can play the safety position. He can play your nickel corner. You can put him outside. You're paying Nahshon Wright. You're paying him because he's going to be paid as a top line corner, outside corner. That's the only spot he's playing in this league.
Well, we're doing a lot of hypotheticals on what they're going to get. I mean, I have to see the money, but I would be surprised if somebody comes in and pays Nahshon Wright over the top money. That would be. I mean, I think he's going to get paid, but I don't think he's going to get paid. Like he's a top corner in the league. That'd be crazy. And if you're judging like what somebody would pay Tyreek, who's more physical than Nahshon Wright,
Tyreek was trending towards a big payday to start this
year,
so but then he got hurt. So I think that affects what would be a reasonable extension for him.
He's had a weird up and down season where he was allowing a perfect passer rating at the start, and then all of a sudden he looked like I know we don't like the Pro Bowl word here, but like he looked like a Pro Bowl corner for a little bit there. But this entire discussion, why I brought it to the table, is how there's 4 players I put on the list here, and we could order them any single way, and we could argue for or against any one of those players and their deals. Kevin Byard with the age, Nahshon Wright with just too small of a sample size. Ryan Poles has a very difficult decision, several difficult decisions to make in this offseason. And these could be
Never mind the fact that they have to fix the
defense-altering.
entire D-line,
Right.
with all of this hanging over their head.
Right.
It's interesting. And as somebody's a little wasted in the chat says corners ain't cheap. If then we turned it to what the market for corners is in this league, you saw what Kyler Gordon got paid as a nickel corner. They're changing the way they're paying nickels. So it's definitely something they have to consider. Just real quick, want to give everybody a reminder to become a diehard
And whatnot.
here and whatnot, of course, at CHGO Sports. Head to allchgo.com/diehard. Use the QR code on your screen, and if you use the code JOHNS, JAHNS, you get $36 for an entire year as a diehard here, and we appreciate your support as we have reached overtime here on the CHGO Bears Podcast.
Overtime. All right. Well, I think we buried that one to death, and we can continue that conversation for a long
It's
time.
definitely an off-season idea, but again, if they announce tomorrow that Kevin Byard has been extended on a 2 or 3 year deal, I would not hate that at all.
Well, the case for me with Byard is it's not even the interceptions, leading the league in that. It's the leadership that
1,000%.
how many times have we heard it this season? I think one of the biggest days this entire year for the Bears, it wasn't even a game day. It was a players-only meeting after they went 0-2, where you had Grady Jarrett and Kevin Byard leading this meeting with the players. And what happened after that? They go on a win streak, and they completely turn their season around.
Yep.
Byard's impact off the field is just as, if not more important than on the field.
He's a pro's pro, no doubt about it, and he's been Listen, he's in front of the microphone all the time because he represents the organization in a first-class manner.
Yeah, for sure.
And he goes about his business the right way. I think they'll bring him back, but there'll probably be a price point on that as well. You wouldn't think that a 32-year-old safety that people are going to be jumping through hoops to overpay him. But again, anything I suppose is possible. We didn't play one.
I think at this point, I would guess he would want to stay here too. Just guessing. I get everybody.
He loves it here.
Money is king, but I do think, when you get to that age, I'm just trying to put myself in those kind of shoes. Like, if you've been kind of trying to find your way to the Super Bowl in your career, played at Tennessee, you've done now you finally get to this team that has this kind of juice and energy and a potential to get to a Super Bowl. I don't know why you'd want to leave that.
He loves it here. He wants to stay. He loves being
I
back.
get money is king, but not for everybody. Like when you're picking nits between contracts.
So the Bears were willing to pay you $5 million, and the Lions would pay you $10 million. Who are you playing?
Well, that's not. Come on.
No, come on.
Well, you come on. If you're gonna do the don't be hyperbolic. If you're gonna make a contract,
I'm just asking you.
like David Montgomery, the Bears offered just minimally less, and he chose Detroit, so he valued that Detroit had put a higher price tag. Obviously, the Bears suck too.
Nobody puts Braggs in the corner, but I'm putting you in the corner.
Yeah, but that's too big of a disparity. Of course, somebody wants to pay you twice as much.
So for $10 million, you go be a Lion.
Okay. Again, we've had this conversation privately, so I'll say it here on the air because I'm not afraid to say this. If somebody came to me right now and offered me double what I make to work somewhere else, I would stay here. I know you don't believe it, but I would.
Okay,
I'm talking about what I do right here for CHGO Sports.
I understand, right?
If somebody paid me double, I would stay here,
and that's beautiful.
I mean that.
I know you do. I know. I'm asking you.
I'm
making you an NFL player for a minute. You get 1 year in the league. 1 year. The Bears are going to pay you $5 million. The Lions are going to pay you $10 million. Who are you playing for?
No. You don't get to pick the Lions.
Okay.
Pick a crappier team. Like if you're picking a crappy team.
You can't nobody puts Braggs in the corner. Okay, fine. $5 million for the Bears, $10 million for Tampa Bay. Who are you playing for?
The Bears. We'll win a Super Bowl next year.
You don't know how good they are. $5 million for the Bears, $10 million for Tampa.
I do know how good. I do know how good the Bears are. What do you mean?
I'm not putting you on this Bears team. I'm putting you on a random Bears team in time.
No.
Steven.
Come on. Why are you are trying to create
I'm not trying to create anything.
And just
I think it's a great
throw any kind of important context to the point I'm making out the window. That's stupid. Yeah. Like
No, I'm not okay. I'm not trying to diminish any of your points. I'm just making the mention. I'm trying to put your fandom to the test here. Where's the money line? I think it's a fun question. That's all. That's all I'm doing.
It is warm in Tampa.
I mean, $5 million more to go down to Tampa. Will Gottlieb's on his way right now. He ain't going to play for the Bulls. The GOAT is down to South. He's going down. He's going right to Tampa.
Well, hey, maybe instead of doing the post game, go to the Cleveland Bears game, get a press pass, and go ask Myles Garrett how he's liking that contract he took and hanging out in Cleveland and sucking for the rest of his career.
Yeah, but on that level, like somebody who's actually willing to stay with the team they're at and invest and hope that they get over the top, you got to respect that on some level.
No, he held out from Cleveland. He wanted to be paid, and now he's being paid, and every time they interview him after a game, he's crying about how much they suck. And everybody's sitting here going, no crying, Myles. You made that bet.
That's sure. Not allowed to complain. Yeah. All right. Bochanted, how much would it take for Carman to go do a Packers podcast? Start naming prices, Bochan. I worked in Kansas City. I became a Chiefs fan for a minute. It happens when you have to go work in another market.
Well, that was the other thing, too, about last week when I was going at Ben Brust, the ESPN Milwaukee guy that played for Wisconsin. Then it turned out he's got all these tweets when he was a Bears fan his whole life. And then he just switched up to pander to those losers in Wisconsin. What kind of integrity is that?
Are you going to say the same thing about Tom Waddle? Is he a panderer?
Tom Waddle played for the Bears.
Well, but he's from Cincinnati. Is he?
And no, he's not a panderer. Anytime you listen to Waddle, no, time out. Anytime you listen to Waddle, he roots for the Reds over the Cubs.
Right.
You hear it all the time.
But
no, he doesn't pander.
Right, but he'll say a lot of nice things about the Cubs. Is he pandering?
That's not pandering.
That's not pandering?
Still is honest about where his loyalties lie.
If you go work, I saw this from other people too. Ben Brust is working there. He got an opportunity to do his job there. You invest in where you're at. There's nothing wrong.
What's Annie Agar doing?
What is she doing?
She's staying true to her Packers.
She doesn't,
and she does Chicago media.
If Annie Agar got shout out Annie Agar.
She works at CHSN.
Hold on. If Annie Agar got hired by CHGO to a Bears podcast every day, her allegiance would change.
All due respect, that just wouldn't happen. It's not the model we're working with over here. I'm just saying.
Nutella happens. Carb, you're awful today. In the words of Cap, be better. How does Cap get out of the show? How am I awful today, Nutella?
There's a
what?
I'm just saying, when the Cap gets it, we were talking Waddle, talking Ben Brust, Agar. So
Cap screamed at Ben Brust too. You were a Bears fan. Okay, now
that was a good point though. That's a checkmate.
Take that. Okay. More importantly than all of that. Are we almost done with the show? Become a diehard and whatnot?
We did that already. Yeah,
we did that part. Well, first of all, I do want to send a shout out to our good friend Joe Henschel, who supported the show.
Absolutely.
Down in Indy, he was working for the Pacers, and then he moved on from the Pacers, and he's been dealing with some heart issues, and that took a little bit of a side turn, and so he's back on another recovery. Joe, we are thinking about you, wishing you the best, knowing that you're going to get better. And just wanted to let you know that you are in our thoughts on the podcast as well as where we chatted in the old social media world. So that's one. Shout out Joe Henschel, great man. Shout out to you, Gregory, because we had a brawl. We had a brawl earlier today that you're worried that the Bears are not focused enough on how many wins they got to get to. Because some of them are saying that we got to get to 11 to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I just want to remind you that you are rooting for a professional Bears team that if they win,
I'm texting Lance Briggs.
That's
right
fine.
now.
That's fine. Whatever you got. Don't worry.
If you'd have told me 20 years ago when I was running around Bourbonnais that I was on a show next to the great Mark Carman.
Thank you.
Of Sports Talk Live fame.
That's right.
And many other things while I'm texting Lance Briggs with all these many Bears fans watching, I would have never believed you. What a privilege.
Just don't do another Facebook post on it today. That's all we're asking.
I might.
I know.
I know not be included in that.
Yeah, that's okay.
You always appreciate. You're not getting a pound. What do you want? What's the other thing you want to try to dial me up about?
Hey, you should thank me for dialing you up. Makes for a good program. I want to dial you up or dial you down, either way, that I promise you, in the chat, you'll be with me on this one. You'll promise Greg, too, that if the Chicago Bears go out and beat the Cleveland Browns this week, and then next week when Green Bay comes in or they beat the Packers, they won't just hang out and go out to San Francisco and not play, and then after that they won't come home for the final week and be like, we're good, we don't have to beat Detroit. You know what they'll be talking about after beating Green Bay? They'll be talking about winning the division,
I understand
buddy.
that.
So don't worry.
Sometimes I think that
Don't worry. Yeah.
I just think that you purposely don't want to hear the point. Like earlier when we were talking about this game, and you were like, "Oh, Bragg said he's worried about the game on Sunday."
I'm a little worried about the game on Sunday. They could lose.
And tell Braggs that they're not overlooking the Browns.
They're not.
I never said that. And then you say, "Oh, Braggs, says in the pre-show that they keep marking 11 wins as the goal. That means they're not going to try to win the other games." That's not what I'm saying. So
you're nervous. Were you not nervous about their focus?
No, that's not what I'm nervous about.
What are you nervous about?
I'm not nervous about anything. Well, I am nervous about many things. But what I'm trying to say is I don't need Ben or Kevin Byard or any of these guys to earmark and say 11 wins will get us in the playoffs. You don't know that. I can play the hypotheticals in this scenario if they win 11 or 12, whatever, and what's going to play out. When he said we're desperate to win this game against the Browns, that's all they need to say.
So on Gaslight,
I don't need to hear the 11 wins because what's the old adage, right? We're not looking ahead. We're worried about this game. One game at a time. When they start saying 11 games, that shows me that they're thinking about it like I'm thinking about it. Don't think about those things. Let me take care of that. I'll do the math for you guys. Their goal should be 13 wins,
right?
Because it's still in play to win 13 and be and so every answer should be, even if we all understand 11 might get them in, they should be like, our goal is to win 13 games. Right. Period.
So on Gaslight Wednesday, are you saying that Ben Johnson is not leading this team properly?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Because it sort of sounds like you just said that, which would be a crazy thing to say.
I'm just surprised that they're saying that. You just don't hear that level of honesty. I totally get why they're saying it, because any logical person that spends every waking moment worried about this like I am, and I know they are because of how invested they are in this. They've waited their whole lives. It's all year building up to this moment. And now they're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, as am I, of how they can get in the playoffs. I'm just surprised that they're outwardly saying 11 wins. We're trying to get to 11 wins to get in. Yeah. When you don't necessarily know that 11 could get you in. Again, when we were talking earlier, if the Bears beat the Browns and the Lions lose to the Rams, as we all hope is what plays out, I just need people to understand that then at the Bears at 10-4 and the Lions at 8-6, that draws up a scenario where no matter what happens the next two games after that, it could come down to the final game of the season where the Bears have a chance at 11 wins and the Lions have a chance to beat the Bears and get in over the Bears. So you can win 11 games in this scenario. Let's say the Bears beat the Browns and the Niners and they have 11 wins and the Lions only have 10 wins. You get to the final week of the season. If the Lions beat the Bears and tie the Bears with 11 wins, the Bears are out and the Lions are in. So 11 might not be the goal. It might need to be 12. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Quit saying 11. I get 11 might get you in. And if 11 doesn't get you in, that's just bad luck. I totally understand that.
Okay, we got it.
And I will say this much, too. If you do get in, whether it's with 11 or 12 wins, this is probably going to go down as the hardest year to ever make the NFC playoffs. Because
this is the hardest year ever?
Yeah, I would say we're gonna have to go back once it all finishes out, but I think both wild card teams are going to have a minimum of 11 wins. The only team that will have less than 11 wins will be the NFC South division winner.
You're saying since 7 teams were wild
Yeah,
card,
and not even just since 7 teams.
You think since 6 teams?
Even that, right?
I would. I'd have to do some research on that, but I probably could prove you wrong. But that's okay.
Well, like I said, the last 11-win team to not make the playoffs was the 2008 Patriots, and the last 11-win team before that was the 1985 Broncos. So it's very rare to miss. That was both AFC.
Right, which would lead you to believe that.
So that means no 11-win team has ever missed the playoffs in the NFC.
Yeah,
in NFL,
and I don't think it's going to happen this year. Neither do you.
Since the 60s, I should say.
We're on the same wavelength. Then we think that you will get in with 11, but you just don't like them talking about 11 because it
could jinx you.
It could be a
jinx.
You
keep saying, "Oh well, hey, we just need to get. We got 9 right now, but we need to get to 11. 11 might get you out."
Ben's message though has been like we've done nothing yet. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. That
just keep saying that.
Yeah, you want that. Yeah, okay.
That's what I want to keep saying.
Okay.
So don't dial me up with it and then act like you're exhausted by the thought process.
At some
you
point.
dialed me up to talk about it. Now I'm talking about it, and then you want to act like I'm going too long on it.
Well, sometimes
don't ask me if you don't want to hear the answer. Earlier, you were trying to do the quick math on how this is all going to play out, and I promise you haven't put 3% of the amount of thought I've put into this. And then you just tried to whip it up earlier in a sentence.
Well, right.
So stay out of just stay in your lane.
I like to whip it up. $9.99 from $10 from Joe Calcagno. What's up, Joe? Let's get to some super chats here. Our one super chat of the show. I know this is going to sound familiar. Is it time for Ben to pause developing Caleb and start maximizing Caleb? Just keep him on the move. Start using the run game, the wide run game. Wide run game, is that what he's saying?
He probably means using Caleb's legs more, in the run game.
They have a real shot now. Well, Joe, I mean, they put him on the move a ton last week, so I feel like he's kind of already doing that.
Oh, that's nasty here in the chat says, anyways, oh, that's nasty.
Oh, that's nasty.
He says, Bears win 12, they go to the playoffs, and that is correct. Through my research team on Twitter, I have a research team.
And Cream?
That goes through Cream's not the research team. George and another guy,
George and whatnot.
George and another guy.
George and whatnot.
They do all the scenarios, and I can confirm
12 gets you in for sure.
There is no 12-win scenario that won't get you in.
Okay.
So that should give you 12 should be the number then, based off of what I just said. There are 11-win scenarios that don't get you in. There are 0 12-win scenarios that don't get you in. 12 is the number. I rest my case.
Well done. I feel this was a good exercise for everybody to see what goes on at CHGO behind the scenes, because there it was, and on full display. Excellent job.
You're welcome.
So on the way out here, because you care so deeply about me, Greg, I'm going to.
That's why you wanted to finish this conversation. Do whatever stupid thing you're about to say.
Allow you in that last night. The great battle last night.
Yeah, this is way better than playoff talk.
Yeah, with myself and Ray. Week 2 of the winter season. Have never beaten Ray. Never beaten him.
Scarpelli?
Not Scarpelli. Big Ray. Average size Ray. Excellent player Ray. Steven's mind is always in the same spot, and it's
you made it weird. You heard yourself. You heard yourself.
Yeah, but so first set, Bragsy.
I'm trying to pay attention.
I'm up 4-3. To win a set in tennis, you got to win 6 games. I've won 4. He's won 3. I'm playing great.
Mm-hmm.
Ray gets hot. Ray hits ridiculous shot after ridiculous shot. Ray takes the first set 6-4. How old is Ray Bochan? Ray is 41, probably 10 years younger than me. All right.
Finally.
Second set, Ray jumps out 2-0. Is that right? I think that is right. You know what happens after 2-0?
I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
Yours truly, Carm, just rolls. 6-2 takes the second set. Just the serve was just firing. The looseness on the floor, and everything's going well. So now what do? We play a 10-point tiebreaker. This match starts at 9 o'clock last night. We're supposed to. They closed the place up at 11. It's 11:10. We're starting the tiebreak. Ray, it's first to 10 points. Ray runs out 5-0. I'm down 5-0. I'm just talking to myself. I'm saying,
Yeah, you definitely are.
Hang in there. You're not doing anything wrong. Just you're right there. One at a time. Let's go. 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 6-3,
6-7,
6-7, 6-3, 7-3, 7-4, 8-4, 8-4, Boyson.
Colston Loveland.
8-4,
4.
8-5, 8-6, 8-7, 8-8, 9-8. Carm, match point. Match point. Bullet serve. Return right at my feet. Can't handle it. 9-9. 10-9, Carm.
Bad Achilles.
10-10. 11-10, Carm. Match point. 11-11. 12-12. 12-13, Carm down.
I was long-winded.
14.
Just keep saying a bunch of numbers.
14-12 loser. And Ray takes me, and he's still undefeated.
Oh, you're a loser, all right.
But the effort was real. And I was literally sitting there singing to myself to try to relax myself. Sweet Monarch. Yeah, I was like in my return serve, like getting low. Sweet Monarch. Yeah.
So this is tough for me. How do I put you in the penalty box when the show's about to end? We just did like 5 minutes of tennis talk.
Yeah.
And then there's singing at the end.
Yeah.
This wasn't good.
Oh, that was great.
All that to find out you lost.
I know.
You lost.
He said like all
And
those numbers.
You made it like there's going to be a grand finale here. Nope, you lost, Carm.
It says all those numbers, and like the percentage of people in the chat that like know how sets work in tennis is probably like 10%. And I'm being generous. Nobody cares.
Everyone cares. Robert Lee. Robert, you're invited to the next one. Next week, you're there. So are you. Who just said nails on a chalkboard? Torian, come on out. All right, that'll do it for today. We're back tomorrow at 1. Great effort, Carm. I'm proud of you, even though it didn't come through. You gave it all you could.
I thought you sucked.
11 wins will get you in the playoffs. Everybody knows this. John's tomorrow. Special guest tomorrow. And, yes, potentially an X's and Hogs live, which might be more entertaining than this last couple of minutes, but I doubt it. Steven, great job producing. Thank you to Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, Kevin Byard, all talking today. Bears fans, this is an awesome time to be a Bears fan. We will see you tomorrow at 1. We'll see the Browns at Soldiers at noon. Come on out to the tailgate. We've got heaters. AllCHGO.com to get yourself a ticket. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Got it.
We all silly like the mayor.